how cool I was in 1995 with my 1993 Geo Tracker and matching outfit. But now the four-wheel drive doesn't work any longer. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about this and have you watch puppy videos till I get to the action. I read online that you could figure out what's wrong with your four-wheel drive by jacking up the car and seeing what happens with the front axle or with the drive shaft, and the idea that the hubs sometimes just get old and the grease gets full so the springs don't turn. I tried jacking up the car and seeing if the axle would turn with the wheels or if the drive shaft would turn, but none of those things showed that there was any problem, and I was still stumped. Everything ruled out that it would be the hubs, but I went ahead and took the hubs off anyway to try to see if I could find anything additional from doing so. Clearly, to do that, I had to jack up the car and take both the tires off, which was a lot of work. So here's what the locking hubs originally looked like. After I jacked up the car and took the wheels off, it was time to take the hubs off using one of the special tips on the screwdriver for the first part. I then used a 12mm socket to start turning the other part, but one of the problems is that the whole unit and rotor would turn when I was trying to take off the hubs. I'm not going to promise you that there's not a mechanic that has a better way to hold the brakes in place when trying to take off the sockets. I couldn't find anything to actually poke through it to make it hold it in place, so I ended up putting a big old brick on my brake pedal inside to hold it in place so I could get the sockets off. So here was the difference with the two front locking hubs when I took them off. This one has this piece and then this piece that interlocks with it. And there's some springs down here. This one was very hard to take apart. As you can see, this entire piece that was also here rusted inside here instead of being attached there. So these two pieces should look the same, but they don't. These two pieces should look the same, but this whole section here that was supposed to remain on there is no longer there. So now I have to figure out whether I just have to buy completely new hubs or not. So I spent some time trying to get that seized gear out, and that just didn't work. So I decided to go online and find a new set. Now, a new set of locking hubs cost me, I think it was $80, and I think it was carparts.com. And so I went ahead and ordered those and planned on putting them back on the car. When I got the new hubs, I found there were a couple screws holding them together in place that had to be taken out of the top so that I could put them on the car. There are little screws in here that I'm screwing in right now. And what I realized is if you try to put these screws in first and then put this in, it's much harder than if you take the bottom piece and put it in and then put this top piece in, and then it will line up and it's a lot easier to access the bolts. So after getting all of that put back together, I put the tires back on, took the jacks down, and that was probably one of the hardest parts of the job, but guess what? My four-wheel drive works perfectly now. Thanks for watching.